Good morning. I'm here in Puerto Rico today because the Commonwealth is in the midst of a deepening economic crisis that requires action now. This crisis is already imposing real hardship on the people of Puerto Rico in terms of basic health care, legal and education services, and significant unemployment. And that hardship will only get more intense as the fiscal situation deteriorates. The population is shrinking. 3,000 Puerto Rico citizens leave the island every week in search of better opportunities on the mainland. Puerto Rico is already in default. It's shifting from one creditor to pay another, and it stopped payment altogether on several of its debts. As predicted, creditors are filing lawsuits. Liquidity at the Government Development Bank, which provides essential banking and fiscal services to the central government, is low. Tax refunds are being withheld, and assets in the pension system have been sold to pay out pension bills. The Obama administration will continue to bring our full capabilities to bear to assist Puerto Rico. The Treasury Department, together with the White House National Economic Council, is leading an administration effort to ensure the timely disbursement of federal funds and to explore all administrative authorities. And a dedicated team at Treasury is providing technical assistance to Puerto Rico's economic team on a daily basis. But the fact is, no administrative authority can put an end to this emergency. Only Congress can enact the legislative measures that are necessary for Puerto Rico to resolve this problem. That's why in October, the administration submitted a proposal to Congress that would establish an orderly process for Puerto Rico to restructure its debts, paired with independent fiscal oversight that respects Puerto Rico's self-governance. In addition, we proposed initiatives that improve health care policies and provide incentives for employment to help solve Puerto Rico's longer-term challenges. A broad array of business, labor, and community leaders in Puerto Rico and across the nation strongly support this comprehensive approach. House Speaker Paul Ryan is committed to producing a responsible solution for Puerto Rico before the end of March. In order to assist the 3.5 million Americans who call this island home, Congress must pass legislation for the President to sign into law without delay. This morning I met with Governor Padilla and his economic team and received an update on the urgent economic situation. Puerto Rico's government recently took an important step by releasing an updated fiscal and economic growth plan. This report underscores the depth of the current crisis and the immediate need for congressional action. I'll also meet today with Resident Commissioner Pierluisi, leadership from Puerto Rico's legislature, labor and community leaders, and Puerto Rico's business community. There's no doubt that the current crisis affects everyone in Puerto Rico. Each of these stakeholders has an important perspective on the depth and impact of the financial crisis, as well as potential pathways to help address the current situation. I believe that Puerto Rico can and will emerge from the current crisis and return to growth. The fundamental question is when and at what cost. The people of Puerto Rico are sacrificing, but unless that sacrifice is shared by creditors in an orderly restructuring, there is no path out of insolvency and back to growth. Without a congressional action, Puerto Rico will face a long and difficult recovery that could have harmful consequences for the American citizens who call this island home. That's why we've called on Congress to act without delay. And with that, I'm happy to take a few questions. Thank you.
Let's start with Nick Timrose, Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, thank you, Secretary. Why did you come here today? It seems like a lot of these meetings you might have well been able to do from Washington.
You know, Nick, I came here today because the situation is urgent. I came here to talk to a broad range of Puerto Rico's leaders, both in government and out of government, to make sure that I hear from them directly, and to make sure that we together underscore the urgency and the immediacy of the need for action. This is not a case of waiting will help. All waiting does is makes a process more complicated, messier, and more costly. We know that Puerto Rico, in order to pay its bills on January 1st, had to do things that are the moral equivalent of default and in some cases failing to pay actual bills. This can't go on indefinitely without causing more and more hardship. And when there's an insolvency, there's a need for a restructuring. There's a need for there to be oversight, and there's a need for the economic facts to drive action as quickly as possible. I'm here today because the 3 months that the Speaker set as a time frame for Congress to act are meaningful and urgent as a time frame. And now is the time to act, and I'm here to further that effort.
Jose?
Secretary, how do you describe the fiscal oversight board that you are proposing, and how different it is from the control board that the GOP has proposed in the Congress?
You know, I think I've tried to be very clear that restructuring and oversight have to move together, but that oversight has to be done in a way that is respectful of Puerto Rico's system of self-government. That doesn't have to be in conflict with meaningful oversight. It means that the oversight has to be constructed in a way that is respectful. We've had extensive conversations with members of Congress, with people here in the government on the island, and I believe that that can be achieved. I think there is a pathway here, but it has to be done self-consciously. It cannot be done in a way that just pushes aside the system of self-governance here on the island.
Who will have the final decision regarding budget and fiscal plans? The legislature of Puerto Rico, or that oversight?
I think that the challenge in putting an oversight authority together is to make sure that it's meaningful and respectful. I think that the reality is that tough actions have to be taken, and frankly, tough actions are being taken. To have a mechanism that provides the assurance that the actions taken meet the challenges is important in terms of both persuading all stakeholders to do what they need to do and in terms of accomplishing the goal. I think we can work together to create an oversight mechanism that accomplishes that in a way that is respectful of Puerto Rico's governance.
Luis?
Yes, Mr. Secretary, good morning. How accurate is, in your view, the argument that at least some of the $72 billion of debt that we owe might be ultimately a responsibility of the U.S. government after the arguments of the Solicitor General in the case that's before the Supreme Court?
I think we have been clear all along that there is no federal bailout here. This is not a restructuring is an alternative to a bailout. There needs to be a restructuring so that Puerto Rico's financial affairs can be put back on a sustainable course in order to get back to a path of growth. The goal here isn't just to deal with the past, it's to provide a better pathway for the future. I think that a solution that brings all the creditors into a conversation as quickly as possible is the best way to get Puerto Rico back on a pathway of growth. You know, we have been clear consistently that in this administration, the President's view that the self-determination of the people of Puerto Rico about their system of governance is something that he continues and we continue to believe in as a matter of principle. Our solution on the financial side has to be one that works based on the numbers and that brings all the parties to the table to solve the problem so we can get back to a place where we're talking about a growth agenda for Puerto Rico, not just cleaning up problems in the
A
past.
quick follow-up, so the position of the Solicitor General is not the position of the administration as a whole?
I'm expressing the policy views of the administration. The Solicitor General is obviously making legal arguments. The policy views that I'm expressing reflect the views of the administration.
Last question, Dan.
Yes, hi. Could you talk a little bit what happens if Congress is on school legislation? Is there a plan B with the federal government is involved in a bond issuance?
Look, I've been very clear that we will leave no stone unturned looking for things we can do both administratively and in terms of using our convening authority to try and help make progress to solve these problems. But I've also been very clear that using all the tools we have will not be as effective as congressional action because there is no solution that brings all the stakeholders and all the creditors into the conversation in a timely way other than congressional action. That's why the time for Congress to act is now, and it would be a mistake for anyone to think that there's a plan B that comes anywhere near to being as effective. It is too easy to say, well, let somebody else solve the problem. There are no alternatives to congressional action in terms of coming up with a solution that is lasting and that provides the avoidance of a long, protracted period of pain on the island. With that said, we will do what we can. But what we can is nowhere near good enough.
Great, thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.